Okay, so the game is telling me to play in a dark room, but that will be horrifying for me. Alright, so I will then do it. There's a little cutscene before which I didn't get the chance to record, but basically, yes, that's what it's telling me to do. Use headphones, which I will do, but turning off my light, I will then do because this is like not my room. This is like the living room. All right, I will then turn off the light. Anyway, yes, turn on the select phone. No, thank you. Before I get into the game, there are a few things that you might want to know. By the way, it's because I feel like I can read non-dicellic font better if they are using open dicellic. If that's the thing they're using, the font. But I'm not sure. Or not, it's your choice. Skip tutorial. No problem, you can check the controls at any time in the game menu. Alright then. One thing that should be noted is that you can play through the upcoming doors in any order. You don't need to play them left to right. Oh, but I will. Some audio events in this game also make use of stereo effects. Thus, it's best to enjoy the game with headphones. Okay, sure. The rest will be pretty self-explanatory. Don't disappoint her. Who is her? Ah, yeah, I remember it now. So, we are already 1 minute, 2 minutes, I think, around that into the game, but I haven't explained yet what game is this. This is Mycorrhiza, the full release of the game. I've played the demo of the game back then, and it was amazing, horrifying. I love it. It truly is. It says that it is inspired by Japanese horror manga, and it does feel like that, which I love it. And now this is the full release of the game. And yes, the same. Doesn't disappoint her like the demo back then. Who is her? I think it's the same. There's the mention of this as well, right? Ah. There's only one door. I think there was 3 doors. Oh, who am I kidding? I actually know that at the beginning there's only one door because I do a little play testing of the game to find out. There's a little bug back then, which I actually don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it, but I think I am. Basically, there's a bug that makes it not working in old computer. I don't know if it's a Ren'Py bug, the game bug itself, either or both of them. But anyway, yes, I think I'm still not sure if it's fixed actually, but the bug exists for old laptop and computer yet. I think around 2010 oldish computer, yeah. Anyway, yes, there's only one door for now, but after we enter and explore, there should be 3 doors. Oh, by the way, this is a new laptop. I think I have already stated. Wow, okay. Welcome to a world of distorted minds. My eyes were burning. It felt like hot coals were lying on my eyelids. I slowly opened them and attempted to heave myself up from the cold asphalt. But I failed. My whole body was heavy and my head felt like it was being squashed by a hydraulic press. After a few attempts, I finally succeeded and tried to make out where I was. Ah! The fog in my mind lifted slowly and I realized that I was in a dark alleyway. My vision was still blurry and I had trouble keeping my eyes open. But I could tell that I had never seen this place before. Slowly my heart began to race. Was I abducted? Mugged? What had happened to me? I think I hear something, but I don't know if it's just me. I hastily checked my body, fortunately finding no wounds. Why was I feeling this weak then? Maybe I was drugged. This is the same sequence like the demo. I think it is. I'm not exactly sure if I remember correctly. As I tried to recall what might have happened to me, my eyes finally focused. I could see a house in front of me. It was the only house on the street with its light on. The dirty yellow glow shone through almost every single visible window. I felt some relief knowing that the tenants were awake. Perhaps they could tell me where I was. Are they awake? I approached the front door. It took me some searching to find the doorbell through the overgrown ivy. A deep gong rang out from within the house when I pressed it. Ah, I remember it. The sound, amplified by the cold wind cutting through my shirt, made me tense up. What an odd choice for a doorbell sound, I thought while rubbing my upper arm so warm myself. I waited. No one answered. My mind twisted in confusion. Why was no one coming? I rang the doorbell again. Then I tried knocking. No response. No one was coming. I didn't understand. Did I forget to turn off the lights and go on vacation? Perhaps. Who knows? Perhaps it's just like Kevin McKinley starts off, they don't want anyone to disturb them. As a last resort, the home loan thing, As a last resort, I tried turning the doorknob and it actually opened. Oh, that's horrifying. This worried me. Did something happen to the family living here? And you sure that's a good idea? Isn't this breaking an entry? Perhaps I should find a phone and call the police. Suddenly a light crash echoed through the street. My heart started to pound as my body tensed up. Oh no, it is like that. I wanted to dash into the house, but my feet refused to move. What was that sound? Was someone out here? Pictures of otherworldly monster and armed kidnappers pop into my mind as my eyes scanned the darkness. The world was silent once more. I was still on edge, but my body slowly started to relax as I regained my composure. I decided I didn't want to find out what that was. Cautiously, I stepped through the threshold and firmly closed the door behind me. I entered a dimly lit hallway. Is this a good idea? The contours of minimalist furniture were illuminated by the street light outside. I felt an immediate lurch of guilt as I was trespassing into a stranger's house. You should. You totally should. Hello, is anyone here? Scott. No answer. The house was eerily quiet. I cautiously ventured further down the front hall and stopped in front of one of the doors. A dim yellow light seeped silently through the bottom crack. I turned the knob, locked. Then the next one, also locked. They all seemed to be. I frowned. Why were the lights behind these locked doors lit? It gave me an uneasy feeling. The door at the very end of the hall was the only one that I hadn't tried yet. I grasped its handle and turned it slowly. It swung open to complete darkness. Once again, my body tensed up while my mind started to conjure a horrific image. A beast with dislocated limbs and crooked teeth creeping towards me from the darkness. Oh no! Oh no, a British person! I'm sorry for British person. A floor littered with corpses and walls stained with blood. A giant spider sitting in the corner waiting for its chance to strike. My hand shook as I reached to flick on the light. Ah. It was an utterly ordinary bedroom. That was a lovely light sound. However, for the gong, I doesn't feel really liking it. My heartbeat slowly calmed down as I realized that I seemed to be safe. I felt almost silly getting scared of nothing. A quick search yielded nothing but barren, dusty shelves. The bed was the only meaningful object present. Slowly but surely, a wave of fatigue washed over me. With my adrenaline rush fading away, I found that I was more exhausted than I had realized. Like a worm wiggling its way into an apple, a single thought slowly invaded my mind. I had to sleep. Trying to fight it made it worse, as if some outside power was affecting me. Sleeping in a stranger's bed in a stranger's home was the last thing I wanted to do right now. But it was soon the only thing I could think about as my consciousness faded. I had to sleep. The world turned dark and the soft covers of the bed pulled me deeper and deeper into the black abyss. Am I covering the text? No, I don't think I am. I'm not. I'm only covering the skip stuff thing. Ah. Distorted Mind Comics. Oh my god. Mycorrhiza. Oh, what the fuck? That's new. Oh, hello there. Hello. Ah, you. Oh, what the fuck? I've seen 3 of those, I guess. One in the mostly in the 2 in the developer Twitter account, and 1 in the previous demo. Choose a door to start. Interesting. This one has a lot of scratch mark. This one seems fine, but there seems to be light coming out of it. And this one has some sort of markings in the door, near the doorknob. Well, let's go with the first door that I'm familiar with, shall we? Hello, Kitty. And multiple lines. Pets. Well, for those of you who have pets, this is the perfect game for you. I shot awake, painting heavily, my clothes sticking to my skin due to all the sweat. My eyes darted around the room, but everything was quiet. I seemed to be safe. A nightmare seems like I just had a night. I couldn't remember it anymore, but it must have been horrifying. Chills were still running down my spine. It was just a dream, just a nightmare, nothing more. After calming down, I decided to take another look around the house. The fact that no one was here, even though the lights were on, was still nagging in the back of my mind. But I was more confident that I'd be able to find help now that it was daytime. I left the bedroom to rotate the doors just in case. You sure you can find help? They were still locked. I just wanted to go home and take a shower. I smelled my clothes and they indeed had started to smell slightly sour. Slightly sour. This place seemed to have nothing left to offer. I better be out in the streets now that it was daytime. If I wasn't missing my wallet, then I would be getting something to eat as well. I was starving. I left the house for the bright sunlight. The back street didn't seem so bad anymore. I found it to be rather cozy and quiet. I made my way down to the path until I heard a faint sound of conversation in the distance. A weight lifted from my heart when I first glimpsed people walking around in a pedestrian area. There weren't many of them, and as I looked around, I got a feeling that this was a rather small town. Trees and flowers were planted at regular intervals, which gave it more of a I cannot spell it. Fuck. Rural atmosphere. Ah, there you go. It didn't matter. I could finally ask for help. Excuse me, could you tell me where I am? The woman blinked at my approach. She frowned and scowled in my general direction. This is junji-ito. She looked uncomfortable talking to me, so I thanked her and let her be. Junji-ito? I had never heard of a town with that name. How did I end up here? The thought of being somewhere I didn't recognize scared me. How was I supposed to get back home if I didn't have the slightest idea where to go? I took a deep breath to calm myself down. My next best bet will be asking someone to allow me to make a call from their mobile phone. I approached an older man in a business suit. Excuse me, may I use your phone? I'm a bit lost and would like to call a friend of mine so he can pick me up. His lips curled into a grimacing frown. I'm sorry, I'm in a bit of a hurry. I approached person after person, but I had no luck. No one wanted to lend an unkempt, half-dressed strangers their phone. As I made my way through a side street, I overheard 2 elderly women. I heard of some violence incident recently. Most got away with just a flesh wound, saying that they were attacked by someone or something. Yeah, I heard that too. I wonder if it has anything to do with the pet disappearance. Ah. I heard of another cat that hadn't come back in several days. I was so focused on the conversation that I almost ran into a girl. Hello there! A new sprite? I'm not sure. I mumbled an apology and I realized that she had approached me on purpose. Hi. Hi. You need to call someone, right? She extended her hand and offered me her phone. How did she know? You've been asking around like a maniac. I've seen you asking people for one. She nervously shuffled her feet and glanced away. Thank you, I won't take long. I took her phone. It was a red flip phone with a small panda hanging from a strap. Oh, that's so cute. The top bar read May's phone. Her background was set to a picture of herself in a pedestrian alley. That place in the picture looked oddly familiar, but I was likely just imagining it. Is it? I brushed the thought aside and dialed a friend's number. But the call didn't go through. I tried it again, but the result was the same. Maybe their phone was turned on. I tried my parents' house phone, then my job's front desk, then my boss' personal cell. That is very weird if they all didn't pick up. Each time the call failed. I was sure that I had the right numbers. Maybe the phone had a bad connection? It seems like the call won't connect for some reason. Maybe you will have more luck trying a line 9. My phone does act up sometimes. Okay. You may be right. Still, thank you. I didn't want to hold her up any longer, so I gave her the phone back. After a rushed farewell, I wandered off. I wanted to quickly look for another way to get in contact with someone I knew. It occurred to me that I should have asked her for directions to the police station. I turned to look for her, but she had already vanished. As I made my way through town, I could definitely feel the tension in the air. She was right, everyone was on edge. While I was passing by an alleyway, something caught my eye. They were too big to be rats. I couldn't really make anything out other than their eerie glowing eyes. Maybe it was a cat gang searching the trash for food. That's a cat gang? Apropos food, I was starving. But I couldn't possibly ask random people to feed me. Well, you can. I mean, I did that. Back then. And since my wallet was missing, I didn't have any money on me to buy something. So there were oddly tempting looking plants growing nearby. Don't? Especially in a city like this? Probably some dangerous plants? Oh, and it looks like it have eyes. Fascinating. Buds thick on thick stems were sticking out of the ground. Okay, here's one of my favorite sequences of the game back then. Each plant was surrounded by a number of small mushrooms. As I stared at them, I felt a pull. Their strange appearance hypnotized me, and without me noticing, my feet inched closer. And closer. And closer. Let me save in here, by the way. Look, see? 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 Oh, maybe you don't. Wait, let me do something about it. Freak. Let go of the control. Thank you. Yeah, I disabled cursor, aren't I? But this is basically what happened. Can you see it now? Nope, that's not me moving it. As you can see, the movement is too jittery. Fascinating. So if we choose the other one, it's okay, but if we click on eat them, it will go like this. Reminds me of Doki Doki Literature Club back then. Holy freak. This is amazing. Let me disable the cursor again now, because I kinda dislike the cursor. Okay, for this time, I'm gonna eat them. I couldn't really think while hungry, and who knew how long it had been since I had eaten. So it was probably either this or starving. Wow. I dug in. Why? They didn't even taste that bad. Kind of grassy but edible. I thought it grew harder and harder to chew with every bite. Something red dripped on the ground. I soon realized that the liquid was coming out of my mouth. Is that even a plant? I couldn't tell if that was blood or the plant's juices. More started to pour out as I panicked and tried to figure out what was going on. While furring around my mouth, I realized that it had become totally numb. Suddenly, a fleshy chunk fell into the red pool that had started to form before my feet. Oh, is your body decomposing? What? Was it my tongue? My vision became blurry and my stiff body hit the cold ground. What? It was dark when I awoke. I couldn't make out that I was still lying next to the plants. It seemed like no one had bothered to help me. Ow. I tried to get up, but I couldn't. My whole body was paralyzed. I felt a sudden sting traveling from my head to my feet, and the pain grew by the second. Something was happening to me. Oh, you're turning into one of the plants. How is no one seeing this? What the fuck? No one reporting this problem. My hand. It was being bent into impossible position. Not just my hand, my whole body. It was warping. But it seems like it couldn't have handled the transformation. My body breathed and snapped into two. Ooh! Give up? Oh, okay, into the main door. Immediately. Nope, don't need them. I broke away from the hypnotic polar plants. What was I thinking? It didn't matter how hungry I was, they may be poisonous. But my hunger was beginning to gnaw at my insides. My vision grew blurry. Who knew how long it had been since I had eaten? Suddenly I collapsed and the world around me vanished. It was dark when I woke. It seemed like no one had bothered to help me. Oof. I tried to get up, but I couldn't. Yeah, my whole body was paralyzed from hunger. Something was shuffling by my ear. Oh, on the left. Oh, I felt the sniffing of an animal. Perhaps one of the scat I saw earlier. I couldn't bring myself to look. It lost interest and walked past towards the plants. I heard more follow. As I patted into view, I noticed that something was off about them. It must have been my mind playing tricks on me. My hunger was overwhelmed. Something about their bodies was wrong. They started to eat the plants, so they can eat the plants easily? They were smacking rather loudly and made unnatural fleshy sounds. Ooh, every now and then one would pause and give a low growl that didn't at all sound like a cat. Yep. It was more like a slightly higher pitched bear growl. After a while the sounds diminished and I felt their presence vanish. I gathered my strength and forced myself to my feet. What had just happened? What were those creatures? The violent crimes that I had heard about earlier popped into my mind. My hands began to shake. What would have happened if I hadn't been paralyzed and if they had noticed that I was still alive? I took a cautious look around. Private property, not trespassing. I'm reading stuff. 10.50. Chips meal deal. Ooh, what? What will happen if I do that? Click that. Medium served chips plus 600 milliliter Pepsi. Pepsi square pass. What is that? Add to dim sims for one extra. I'm not sure if that's dollar. I'm just checking the detail. Perhaps there's something. Nothing. I guess. All right then. What's this? Oh, that's the menu. Cool. That's cool, that's cool. That's kinda cool. Most house lights were still lit. I mustn't have been out for long. Once again, my body gave off a deep growl. It was as if my stomach was eating itself. I had to get some food or else I was in danger of collapsing again. Should I ask someone living nearby for help or should I take another look around town? Take a look around? Ask for help. Take a look around? No one will open their door for a disheveled stranger. I kind of forgot which one I have to do this in this one. Instead of wasting my time going from house to house, I should take another look around town. I shall be able to find a police station eventually. I picked a random direction and headed off. But I soon realized that finding a police station proved to be more difficult than expected. The streets were completely empty, meaning I couldn't ask anyone for directions. And the further I went, the more abandoned the buildings looked. Hey, that's Saigon, no? Where's Saigon? I think I've heard that place, right? That's Saigon, right? Did I wander into a deserted part of town by accident? The street looked oddly familiar, though. Or perhaps it's a place called Saigon instead. As I wandered through the dark alleyways, an odd feeling started to well up within me. It felt as if I was being watched. I took a look around. My eyes scanned the building which were being barely illuminated by the dim street lights. I spotted something at the entrance of an alleyway. It looked like a small figure. Whatever it was too dark to make out. My eyes were probably just playing tricks on me. It must have been a garbage can or something, right? I tried to rationalize what I had seen and continued at a faster pace. Was I overreacting? There was one way to find out. I made a sharp turn away from the main street and abruptly stopped. If someone really was following me, then I should be able to ambush them as they enter this alleyway. I realized too late that they would have the advantage if they had a weapon with them. Wow. Someone was there, I braced myself. Oh my fucking god. It's just a fucking kid, why are you doing that? Why are you using a jump scare sound? Right as they were about to turn into the alleyway, I jumped out, fist raised. Hi! The person gave a shriek and stumbled backwards, falling into the floor. No. Just as I was about to question them why they were following me, I realized they weren't a threat. Yeah. The person who had followed me was a small boy. He looked up at me, his eyes filled with fear. Why were you following me? I slowly unclenched my fist. I need help for my sister. Your sister? He seemed to realize that I wasn't planning to hurt him and slowly got up. Yeah, she's hurt. I was only following you to see if you were one of them. One of them? I had a frown of question, but if his sister was in danger, then my first priority should be helping her. This is different from back then. Alright, show me where your sister is. His face brightened and he led me back down the way I had just come from. Now that he knew that I wasn't trying to hurt him, he became quite talkative. I'm Lenny, by the way. My sister's name is Amy. We are currently hiding from the pets in one of the abandoned houses. Pets? Have you seen one yet? They are really scary. His words were flowing out like a waterfall. As he made a short pause to breathe, I quickly intersected. What pets are you talking about? And what did you mean when you said I wasn't one of them? You really don't know? Well, I don't really know how to explain it. He seemed to be deep in thought. But before he could elaborate, we had already arrived. Amy is in here. We were standing in front of an old abandoned house. Several of the windows were broken. One of them was partly boarded up with wooden planks. Lenny stopped in the entryway. I was about to ask him what we were waiting for when he started whistling quietly. Okay. That's a way to whistle. And a way to attract attention to ourselves. You sure that's a good idea? It was a slow and somber melody that reverberated through the empty halls of the building. The atmosphere it created sent shivers down my spine. And then it was over. Oh, why just like that? Why did you make it sound like that? Lenny stepped into the hallway and I followed quickly behind him. Seeing how stumped I was, he explained. It's something Amy and me agreed on. If she hears someone come in, she's supposed to run away unless I whistle this melody. I came up with it today, pretty good, eh? The melody, I mean. The plan was alright, I guess, but it was Amy's. Today? We made our way inside, walked up the stairs, and stopped in front of a dark room. How do you make yourself sure that it was still Amy? You should tell Amy to whistle as well. In reply. Not far from the entrance, I could make out a shadowy figure sitting on the ground. Amy, it's me. I brought someone. Amy perked up as she heard her brother's voice. I quickly stepped inside and was about to rush to her side, but jerked back. Her arms. You're the thing, aren't you? Oh, what the fuck? What happened? Oh, this is overloading my encoding. Wow. That's... I think it is fine, I'm not sure. Holy fuck. I had whispered it, but it seemed like Amy had heard me nevertheless. I ate a piece of the plants. Why would you? Then my arms began to hurt and now... She broke off. How could eating a piece of a plant have caused this? This didn't make any sense, but I had more urgent things to do at the moment. Does one of you have a telephone? We need to call an ambulance. Lenny looked at me apologetically. There's no one at the hospital. They are all either dead or they are too obsessed with the pets. Fascinating. So either the pets or the owner of the pets or dead. Good God. That's horrifying. No one at the hospital, and he had mentioned those pets again. Just what the hell was going on here? Just as I was about to ask, I heard a thumping sound from within the house. Lenny jerked around, fear-stricken. Is it them? Emmy's voice was weak. She was about to faint. Her arm must have been causing her a lot of pain. I'll check it out. You two stay here. I tried to sound confident, but my voice shook slightly. After what Lenny had told me, I couldn't help but feel scared. But as the only adult here, I had to be the one to protect them. Let me save here again. And so I slowly made my way back down the stairs. Fuck, it's a pet. I heard something yet again. It sounded vaguely like a growl. One that was oddly similar to the one I had heard while I was lying in the alleyway. Could it be one of those pets? As I reached the bottom of the stairs, I could vaguely make out some slight movement further down the hall. It was as if something was sniffing the air. It's following the plant. And the plant, if eaten, will turn people into the plant, which will be eaten by the pets. And the pets is following Emmy's scent here. I looked around to see if I could use anything as a weapon. There was indeed a wooden board lying on the ground near a window next to me. I carefully picked it up and gripped it tightly while inching closer and closer towards the creature. Weirdly enough, it seemed like it was ignoring me. As I was almost close enough to make out what it looked like, it perked up. I stopped. Time seemed to slow it to a halt. A foul feeling slowly spread throughout my stomach. I lifted the board a bit higher and readied myself to attack. Should you attack? And then it launched. You should attack. I closed my eyes and followed the wooden plank in the general direction of the creature, but only hit empty air. It was over. I thought I had missed and now it will kill me. But nothing happened. All I heard was something scurrying up the stairs. Emmy! Protect Emmy! I opened my eyes and whipped my head around towards the source of sound. But the creature had already reached the top of the stairs, and then I heard a scream. Fuck! It was Lenny. I ran upstairs. Emmy was still laying in the same spot, but it seemed like she had finally fallen unconscious. Next to her was a blood trail leading into another room. Lenny couldn't have been... Wait, Lenny? Why is Lenny the one that getting targeted? The sound of breaking bones and flesh is making a leak out of the room. No! I know what was happening without having to see it. No! I lifted my weapon without even thinking and was just about to step closer to the room's entryway. But I stopped. There was no way I could fight whatever it was with a rotting wooden plank. And I couldn't save it anymore. It was too late. You sure? I needed to get out of here. No, more importantly, I needed to get Emmy out of here. There had to be someone out there who could help us. Lenny's word echoed in my head, but he couldn't have been right. The police will do something about this, wouldn't they? Or the military. I was about to go back towards Emmy, but a sudden wave of fatigue came over me. Really? It was as if I had stepped into a veil. The air had gotten heavier and my breathing became more ragged. Why aren't you getting targeted? I clutched my chest as I tried to figure out what was going on. A throbbing pain pulsed through my back. It was as if something had stabbed me. I tried to turn around, but I had already become too weak. My feet gave in and my vision darkened. I could feel a presence near me. Was it that monster? Before I could find out, my consciousness faded. What the fuck? Well. So there's multiple ending to one book. Interesting, this one, it didn't show us any of the kids. In the other one, it didn't show us any of the kids and what happened to them. Do you want to see the other one? Then I will do it. What the fuck? No. Are they really? No. What is happening? Ask for help. Yeah, this will lead to other ending. I was sure that they turned me away, but I was desperate. This was an emergency after all. Uncertainly approached the closest house and knocked. I was surprised when the door actually opened. Hi there, come on in. How nice of you to visit. That's a pet owner. Almost all the people here are pet owner. I guess it doesn't infect the children. That's why I think the children are most intractable, like the children back then that interacts with us. And also, the pets are targeting the children, I guess, but not Amy. But why? Perhaps because Amy is turning into plant, or do Amy is really turning into plant? I'm not sure. I'm really confused. Or is it making Amy turn into a pet? Those kind of pets as well. Hi there, come on in. How nice of you to visit. That's why the pet doesn't target Amy. But that doesn't explain why the pet doesn't target the main character Scott. Unless, of course, it just targets children? I'm really confused here. How nice of you to visit. Before me stood a fashionably dressed woman with a big smile on her face. She seemed welcoming, but her movements were rather stiff and almost mechanical. It was as if they had been practiced over and over again. The hat, scarf, and the bag around her shoulders suggested that she was just about to leave. She seemed to have noticed my confused look. Oh, the bag? Don't worry about it, I just think it suits me, so I've gotten used to wearing it around the house. That seemed unpractical, but I guess she was very conscious about her appearance. Now come in, everyone's already inside. Do we know each other? She took another thorough look at me and seemed to realize that we did in fact not know each other. Yep, it's definitely one of them. Ah, you must be a new neighbor then. I'm Sabrina, come in. She disappeared before I could correct her. I suddenly felt hurt inside. On my way, I saw a pet football near the entrance with some of the strange-looking plants in it. It's definitely for the pets. Huh, she's been feeding those to her pet. I peeked into the living room. A man leaped to his feet as he saw me and stretched his big hand out to me. His coat suggested that he was active in a scientific field and that he had gotten here right after work. His other arm hung down limply. Interesting. Hi there, it's nice to meet you. I'm Frederick. How are you doing? Hi, Eric. She procreated his firm handshake and he cheerfully gestured me to take a seat beside him. To my surprise, the girl who had helped me earlier was here as well. Wait, you're good. You're here. Alright then. I believe her name was May. She gave me a small wave. It started to feel like a festival. We shall have neighborhood get-togethers like this more often. Alright, this is... She turned and frowned in my direction while trying to remember a name she hadn't asked me for. Scott, I'm Scott. Right, Scott. He moved in nearby recently, I think, so I think we should invite him in as well. Certainly, it is nice to see you. This is definitely one of them, the woman, but I'm not sure about May and Fred. But I think Frederick is. Ah, no, I'm not really... Alright, give me a second. She rushed into the kitchen and came out with steaming dishes of food. I could make out different kinds of meat, baked potatoes, and more. My stomach gave off a deep growl and my mouth began to water. Any thoughts of honesty about my origin was gone. The other visitors started spilling food under their plates and I followed suit. As I devoured it and life came back to my body, I let my eyes wander over the others. Everyone seems to be tense, especially Sabrina and Frederick. Their movements were rather stiff. Every now and then they threw glances at each other's way, glances that seemed to indicate mistrust. Sabrina seemed to especially be eyeing the cup that Frederick was drinking out of. Yeah, the owner of the pet, they really cares about the pet. But, like, why? Why are they, I don't know, not trusting each other like that? Every now and then, when they notice each other's looks, they put on a fake smile. May seem like she hadn't planned to be here in the first place. Was she dragged into it just like I was? As I was cleaning my plate of its scrap, something important flashed into my mind. Excuse me, would you mind if I use your phone? Sabrina tisked. I'm afraid I don't have one. I never cared for those buggers. She looked over to Frederick. Maybe he can use yours. Of course, I can show you to my house once we're ready to go. I gave off a sigh of relief and thanked Frederick. He waved his hand in the air. No problem at all. Please excuse me for one moment though. He shuffled out of the room, presumably towards the bathroom. Alright, I'll make some more tea. She scooped up Frederick's cup and left me alone with May. I cleared my throat and nodded in May's direction. Thank you again for lending me your phone, I did appreciate that. You're welcome. I hope you will have more luck with the landline. Yeah, I hope so too. And I guess that was the end of the conversation. Perhaps she felt uncomfortable speaking to a weird-smelling stranger. I'm going to go wash my dishes. And there she went. Your dishes? So you live here? The others two were taking quite a while. I used the opportunity to let my eyes wander around the room. That is very suspicious, isn't it? The walls were dressed with paintings of all kinds, pictures of nature as well as more abstract drawings. I think it's all just natures, of the plants, not nature even. A framed piece of paper and a photograph that was standing on the drawer beneath it caught my eye. The former seems to be an art degree, the latter a picture of Frederick and Sabrina when they were younger. They were standing somewhere that could be a university campus. Both had genuine smiles on their face. It seems like their friendship went back quite a bit. Oh, okay. Okay, hello. Hey. What? Did she sneak up behind me? I think I had clear view of the kitchen entrance. I think I heard some rumbling coming from downstairs. It'd probably be a good idea to check it out in case Sabrina hurt herself. You want me to go out from here, didn't you? You want me to see the thing? Oh well, Sabrina has been gone for quite a while. Maybe something did happen to her. Or you want to trap me here? Perhaps I should take a look. What about Frederick? May's face slightly tensed up as she heard his name. Frederick is still occupied. The way she said his name sounded almost hostile, but she sounded convincingly confident either way. It felt my eyes pulled me to the basement. I squinted down the stairs. It was almost pitch black. I swallowed back my nerves and carefully crept down into the darkness. Maybe I should have called out to Sabrina, but something told me not to. Why was she down here? Didn't she tell us that she wanted to make more tea? I managed to reach the bottom stairs and peek around the corner. There I saw her kneeling by the lamplight in front of a large cage. A basket of a strange plant sat beside her. There, it's alright. Take a good sniff of the cup. We need to hurry, okay? I know that he's growing another one. He is? You mean Frederick? I know he sent one after their parents. Their parents? I'll avenge them and get rid of my biggest rival in one go. Interesting. Wait, let me go back. Can I? Okay, so everyone is growing pets? So everyone is growing pets and sending them to each other? Fascinating. She held Frederick's cups to the bar. Something in her voice disturbed me. See? Frederick's cups. The woman was telling the creature to sniff out Frederick. Whatever was going on, I wanted no part of it. I returned to the living room as quietly as I could. There you are! All ready to go? Upon hearing Frederick's loud voice, I jumped. What I had seen in the basement had made me anxious. I took a quick look around and saw that May was already gone. Sure, I'm ready. Leaving already? I just made some more tea. I turned to see Sabrina standing in the living room entrance with a practiced smile. Ah, sorry dear, I'm just not young enough to stay out late like we used to. She put on a playful pout. Aw, you do want me. Come back again, you know you're welcome anytime. We bid our farewells and set out into the cold night. I was glad to leave. What I had seen was still nagging on my mind. Frederick may be in danger, I had to tell him. I hesitated. How was I supposed to tell him when I myself wasn't sure what I had seen? But I collected myself and went for it. To my surprise, he wasn't nearly as upset at Sabrina as I thought he would be. He actually seemed to be more upset than me. I think you should not have snooped around the house of someone who invited you over. I was left perplexed. What just happened? I think I was warning him, but instead I've been scolded like a child. His face relaxed and he gave me his usual smile. It seemed slightly pained this time. I suppose there's been no harm done. Perhaps he just didn't believe me. I couldn't blame him. I noticed more and more vacant houses we crept through town. Some were boarded up. Doors had been left wide open. Why are there so many empty houses here? These houses have been vacant for a while now. I was sure that I passed by earlier, but I didn't notice any abandoned buildings back then. An uneasy feeling started to fester inside of me. Here we are. Wait, judging from Amy and Lenny's thing, where they kinda whistle to each other and just think of it now, the disaster could just happen right now. And that's why houses are getting empty. We stopped before a house that looked much like every other house in this town. He stepped inside. I hesitated at the entrance before trailing behind him. What do you call it? The peak of the disaster. The disaster has already happened, but the peak is right now. Come on in, no need to be shy. Do you want something to drink? No thanks. Frederick hesitantly grunted and led me down the hallway. I only wanted to use the phone to get out. Everything that happened today had me on edge. But what if I still couldn't reach anyone? Where would I go? I was balancing a fine line between hope and despair. The phone call would be what would topple me in either direction. Alright, here you are. The phone seemed rather old-fashioned, but at least it had buttons instead of a rotary dial. I picked up the receiver and tried the number. Am I doing something wrong? There's no dial tone. Huh? Let me see. He took the receiver from my hand and pressed down a few buttons. He lets out a disappointed sigh. Not again. Those damn rodents keep getting to my cables. I'll go take a look at it. Feel free to make yourself at home. In case you get thirsty. He fetched a small bottle of soda from the kitchen, gave it to me, and went to the basement. It seemed like I wouldn't be able to leave quite so soon. Once I held the drink in my hand, I did start to get thirsty. If we drink the soda, would it make the creature hunt us? I assume Frederick also has one. I took a sip and thought about what to do next. Fascinating, I'm gonna say. Take a look around, obviously. Check the pictures, check the living room, check the pictures. I took a look at the pictures hanging in the hall. There weren't too many, but he seemed to be pretty cheerful in all of them. Especially the one with his dog. For some reason, I hadn't seen it around. Nothing else caught my eye. Check the living room. It was only one room over, surely he wouldn't mind. He said I should feel at home after all. The living room was minimalistic and unimpressive. A TV stood in the corner, gathering dust. His bookshelf was well maintained on the other hand. I looked over the books. He seemed pretty interested in biology. I'll have to chat with him about his field sometime once I get out of this mess. You don't want to. I chose a random book without a cover and opened it. It seemed to be a handwritten notebook. I quickly shut it to check the title. It seems like I had pulled out a fantasy book instead of a notes on biology. Evolutionary development, intersections between botany and zoology. That would be a rather weird name for a fantasy novel. But the depictions on the page confirm it being fiction. The page shows drawings of creatures I've never seen before, accompanied by detailed graphs and diagrams. I turned the book and went back out into the hall. Alright, it's all done. I jumped. Sorry, didn't mean to scare you. That's fine. Good thing he didn't catch me snooping around. The phone should be working now. Feel free to give it a try. I'll give you some space. Call me when you're done. He took the bottle I had drunk from earlier and left through the hallway. I had an odd sense of deja vu. I shook it off and started dialing some numbers. They were the same that I already tried on my mobile phone. Once again, they failed to connect. How could that be? I wasn't 100% certain that they were correct. I tried all the numbers of friends, family, and even work colleagues I could think of until finally. Yes, hello. It was a woman's voice that I didn't recognize. I was certain that I had dialed the number of one of my college. Excuse me, isn't this telephone number. I don't know who that is. Are you another scam caller? Don't call me again. She hung up. Alright, something was definitely wrong here. Definitely. It might be best to talk to Frederick and see if he could help me somehow. Maybe he had a clue as to how I could get back home. I crept down the hall. He went this way right. I began to hear some murmuring, a steady chill run down my back. The sound was coming from the basement. The old floorboard squealed beneath my toes. I saw flickers of weak light coming down from the steps. Oh, I love that. I took them as gently as I could as I held a hand over my mouth to quiet my breath. I reached the bottom and turned a corner. Well, this is it. Frederick knelt before a big cage, a small lamp next to him, and held something up to the bars. He hissed to whatever was inside. Yes, you have the scent now, don't you? We must take care of this one tonight. He's curious. He will find the secret much faster than the others. No. We can have him make something like you too. Interesting. It's kill or be killed in this town. My stomach dropped out from underneath me as I heard the horrible scraping from inside the cage. I took a step back, bumping into the wall. Before I could react, I had accidentally switched on the main light. The sudden flood of white blinded me for a moment. Once my eyes adjusted, the first thing I saw was it. Fascinating. I'm studying the creature. Is it eating the plant, or is it has the plant as its tongue? Because if it has the plant as its tongue, then it means this is a transformed human. Yeah, people transform with this. I'm not really sure. Then where do all the pets gone? But it seems like a dog. Frederick was screaming at me, but I could barely think about him. Oh my god. I couldn't look away from that creature. It was cowering inside the dirty cage that seems to be too small for it. How did she control this creature? It had features of a dog, but I could also see some elements that were distinctly human-like. Fascinating. Its mouth was way too big. And the inside of it was filled with seemingly random set of teeth, or at least something that resembled teeth. Worst of all, though, were the enormous eyes staring right back into me. Frederick fumbled with the lock on the cage. My feet finally began to move. I ran out of the house and into the streets. All the while, one thought was frantically running through my head. I had to get out. I had to get away from this demented town. With this so clouding my mind, I hadn't realized that I had exited town already. I was now on a big grassy plain. Breathing heavily and with fear flooding my mind, I had almost not noticed how heavy my legs had become. Soon I was struggling to stay on my feet, and my vision slowly darkened from exhaustion and panic. I wanted to look back to see how close the monster was, but I was too afraid of seeing it right behind me. I gathered my courage and quickly glanced behind me, and to my surprise, the thing was following me. I didn't know if it had ever followed me in the first place, but it seems like Frederick wanted to send it after me to kill me. Realizing that I was safe for now, I stopped. My legs were numb and I almost gave in, but I managed to keep standing. I couldn't believe what I had just seen. It couldn't have been real. Every inch of my body repulsed the idea of such a monster existing. But I had seen it with my own two eyes. I continued on at a slower pace this time and soon came to a small but quickly flowing river. It wasn't a good night to get my clothes wet, but it looked small enough for me to jump over with a running start. I wasn't the athletic type, but I managed to leap over a gap. Suddenly, my feet staggered. A wave of fatigue came over me. It was as if I had stepped into a veil. Yeah, this is the same thing. I clutched my chest as I tried to figure out what was going on. Yeah, step you. Interesting. The monster or Frederick? Before I could find out, my consciousness faded. And that's the end. There were some little more, what do you call it? Options? Which I'm going to explore. I wonder though if they have different endings. Check the study. Entering Frederick's study, I felt like I was crossing a line. After all, he had invited me into his home and was trying to help me. But my curiosity overwhelmed me. I was wondering what the thing in Sabrina's basement was, and maybe I could find answers here. I took a look at the table to see what he was working on. A flip over a picture frame and an open journal grabbed my attention. I decided to sneak a peek at the picture and was surprised to find a photograph of Sabrina and Frederick. They look older than in the picture that I had seen at Sabrina's place. It depicted them in a park as they were having a picnic. A canvas was set up nearby. Why was it lying around face down? Perhaps he just hadn't had the time to hang it up yet. I turned my attention to the journal, or they want to kill each other. His writing was messy, but I would probably be able to decipher it with some effort. What should I do? Read? I decided against taking the journal. Reading it was bad enough, but it was a lesser evil. I have a feeling that other people have found out what the plants can be used for. They must be developing their own pets in secret. I'll have to keep growing my own and hope that I'm faster, better than they are. Interesting. So Frederick isn't a transformed human. Frederick is still human, but tried to grow pets, I guess. I should be okay as long as I avoid leaving anything of mine at someone's home. They can only do something to me if they have my scent after all. That's why it didn't attack Scott, but attacked Lenny. But why? Why would they attack Lenny? Someone targeted Lenny, isn't it? I set the journal back down. Now I know that he was a fantasy writer. That's the only way I could explain what this was about. Especially the terrifying sketches that accompanied the text were something sort of a horror fiction. With doubts gnawing at my mind, I made my way back to the telephone. Alright, it's all done. Okay, is this the same thing? Let me skip it. Apparently it is the same thing. Leave the book alone? I couldn't just pick at the journal of someone who had invited me to their home to help me. I decided to leave the study. Interesting. That does nothing. What if I take the book? Take the book? Normally I wouldn't steal, but this couldn't be further from a normal situation. Finally! I had no idea when he come back and how much time I had to read it. As I picked up the book, something fell out. I was startled by the sound and froze. Slowly I picked it up and curiously took a look at it. It was a small key, possibly for a mailbox or a drawer. While wondering about where the key could fit, I heard approaching footsteps. My heartbeat accelerated. In a panic, I hastily put the key and the notebook in my pockets while quickly exiting the room. So we got a key. Interesting. That's different. We'll see how it goes. I think it's the same though. Oh, this is different. I needed to rest, but stopping could be risky. Take a break. Fascinating. Safe here. Take a break. I should really take a quick break to make sure that I wouldn't collapse along the way. So I sat down for a bit and kept looking out for the monster. After catching my breath, I suddenly remembered the journal. Maybe this will be a good time to take another peek inside. A small peek wouldn't hurt. I might find some clues to what that thing was. I opened it to the very beginning and began to read. I've discovered the cause of the pet disappearance. No one was stealing them or killing them. They just change. Okay, so the pet that eats the plant will change. I installed a GPS chip on my own dog and followed it around to see what was going on. Eventually, I found it eating one of those odd-looking plants. What will happen if a human eats one? Their body will be twisted like Amy back then. I tried to stop it, but it growled at me. Never had I seen it act that way before. There was nothing I could do but let it finish. I took one of those plants with me to study it. Not too long after, I noticed that my dog had changed. It was a bit bigger and its hair was falling out in great quantities. It also started to bark at me seemingly for no reason. I tried a bit of the plant myself, hoping to see why it was so drawn to it. Why? But I found the taste nearly unbearable. Why would you do that? I set the journal down. I think I had just heard a sound. I jerked my head around to find the source. There was nothing. Maybe it was just my imagination, or maybe it was time to keep moving. Yeah, sure. I woke the next day to a piercing pain in my right arm. That... Wait a minute. The one you doesn't move around is your left arm, right? At first I was horrified to find that it was entirely bent out of shape. But something inside of me suppressed my fear. I calmly stood to fix it. So Frederick is indeed a transformed human. At first I thought about getting rid of it, but the pain had already subsided. I was able to flatten it by beating it with what the fuck? With a hammer. I had lost all feeling in the limbs by that point. Wait, Frederick only... Oh, because Frederick only consumes a little amount. Only transform the right hand, not the whole body like Scott. What would people think if I went out with a bad arm? Wait, then why is your tongue not changing, not falling apart? I began to look for my dog. The first thing I found were large animal footprints, much too large for its paws. The kitchen had been torn apart and strange hair littered the whole house. Then I found it. Or at least something that was once my dog. I could see the resemblance, but most of its hair had fallen out and its jaw was dislocated. It began to growl as soon as it saw me. Shortly after, it jumped on me with no provocation. It was hard to keep up with just one hand, but its teeth had fallen out, making it nearly harmless. I managed to knock it out and lock it up in the basement. Now I definitely heard something. I felt really uneasy about this, but I didn't want to stop reading. I felt so close to figuring out something crucial. Yeah, sure. A little more couldn't hurt. I couldn't see any sign of the monster anywhere. It should be fine. Alright, where was I? I froze up. There was definitely something near me. And it was close. Way too close. I could almost feel its wrecked breath in my skin. My heart was starting to race, my chest contracted to the point where I had difficulties breathing. I started to slowly... Well, there we go. Oh my god, that was an image. But it was kind of funny, but horrifying as well. Now, what if I stop reading here? No. It was way too risky, I should keep moving. Hell no, what the monster will do to me if it found me. I continued on at a slower pace this time and soon came to a small but quickly flowing river. Oh wait, this is the same ending, right? You found key 1. Fascinating, that is different. So we need to find the key. But for what? Well, I guess that's all for Mycorrhiza for now. Very interesting. In the previous demo I wasn't exploring much. I was just trying to get one ending because it was the demo. I don't want to spoil myself too much, but that opens so much more. Fascinating. Really interesting, but I still not sure what was going on. Anyway, yes, that's all for the first door and the intro, of course. I hope you enjoy it. See you later then in the next door. Bye bye.